That was probably the smoothest, groovest intro we've had here yet. So
It definitely
let me know what
was.
you guys. Yeah, had me like, all right, let's chill. Kick my feet up. I believe I get some shag carpet or something. It was
Absolutely,
pretty
absolutely.
pretty dope, man. So guys, guess what? Baby Daddy Grows is in the house today. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing amazing, Mr. Westport. Thank you so much for having me. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat, those veterans that's actually watching. I appreciate you guys for watching. Some of my family that's supposed to be on here. Everybody again that's in the chat and that's watching. I am Baby Daddy Grows. I'm so happy to be here. Any questions you guys ever have for me, just please let me know. I'll be super duper happy to answer those questions.
That is awesome and a great introduction because I just quickly kind of skipped over it because, man, we have been talking back and forth for many years. Like, you're definitely part of the family and a great part of the grow community because you yourself, you do a lot of, like education, one-on-one, working with people, kind of preaching the benefits that this plant can offer to people, sharing your experiences and how you've benefited through it. So, if you guys aren't familiar with him, definitely do your best to, because you're always, dude, you're a great guy. So I was really excited that we get to connect again today because I kind of want to find out what you've been up to, man. What's going on in the garden? I know you got a tent
Oh
behind you,
man,
and I usually see pictures of your outdoor stuff. So what do you got going on,
absolutely.
man?
I can tell you right now, Mr. Westport, for those people that are just now starting to follow me, again, first and foremost, I'm a United States Navy veteran. I not too long ago retired, probably about 6 years ago, I retired. And so while I was currently in the Navy for what I was doing or in my military service, uh, I was basically getting ready to retire. I knew for a fact that what I was going to be doing was I had a life ahead of me of opioids given to me by the VA, and that was something that I did not want to do. And so, what was important for me to do is find me a medication or a medicine that was not only just healthy for me, something that was helping other people. And so I found this world of cannabis, this great world of cannabis. It's been a great community since my retirement and since coming on board. And you're definitely right. I am an outdoor grower. I can tell you, outdoors is where I see a lot of the plants and how they flourish and what they look like. And that's all from the sun. And so, and just being outdoors also it gives me a little bit of my therapy as well. And so that's why I love to grow outdoors. But you're right, we've got our tent this year, and we just been plugging away, Mr. Westport, basically just learning, growing. We've started our own YouTube channel, which has been growing, by the way. Thank you for all your likes, your comments, subscriptions. I really do appreciate it. To all those veterans that's out there, there is a different way, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, and that's why I'm here.
That's great. And because that's such an important thing, again, reaching out and helping veterans and in that community, such a huge thing that needs to be done. And a lot of times, um, veterans are more comfortable speaking with veterans sometimes about things. And it's great that you have that. So I always ask this at the end, but for everybody watching already, where can people find you? What is your YouTube channel? What good contacts do you have? So if someone all just their ears just perked up, I want them to not have to wait till the very end of the show.
Okay, absolutely. And I'll be sharing my all of my contacts here. I'm looking at a bunch of different people that put it in the chat. I definitely appreciate it. I should have did that. But for those people that's just following along, that just started, You can follow me on Instagram at BabyDad_Grows. And then also with YouTube, we just started to get close to our 500 subscription. And so we'll be giving
Nice.
a giveaway soon with that. And then we'll be doing another one, another giveaway on our YouTube as well. Once we hit 1,000 subs as well.
That's awesome. You're growing the channel really quickly. That's fantastic, man. It's good to see. Definitely. That's cool. Let me put that down there. And a big shout out to Chonky Nugs, moderator, always in chat. Yeah, dude, he's always hooking it up. Getting all the right information that I just can't quite do as quick. So big shout out to Chonky Nugs. You two could have a great conversation. You guys are both wonderful people. So, outdoors, you mentioned for me, fresh air helps. For me, nature helps. That in and of itself is just kind of a break. It's more of a meditative thing, which the meditative aspect is also what I get from growing. I'm an indoor grower, don't have the climate at the moment to do a lot outside. That will change. But can you speak to just maybe how that has benefited you, just that meditative property? And nice t-shirt, by the way. I want to put that out there. I love your t-shirt choice today. That's awesome, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we just got our Westport t-shirt in. So if I'm doing an interview, I have to have it on. So that's just me. So but yeah, when we talk about growing outdoors, it not only is my safe space outdoors. But I'm not originally from California. I'm in California, but I'm not originally from California. I grew up in the gardens of South Carolina, in our own family gardens. I was basically helping out my mom, my sisters, my aunts, my uncles, growing not only just a family garden for us, but for other families in the neighborhood. And so from that point on, I really did not think about growing. It was just maybe one of those things that I kind of I'm getting into it. I'm not getting into it at one point. But then when I retired, I realized how much of a therapy it could be for me just going back outdoors and starting growing. Not only was I able to pick up this great thing about cannabis, what we all into right now, but I was also able to not only just learn about my environment as well. Growing outdoors also for me is not only just therapy. Once I go outside, I take off shoes. I can be out there, no shirt on, just me and my plants. And so again, for me, it's therapy. For those other people that's out there too, I know it could be therapy for you as well too.
And I kind of know I'm cheating here because I've seen your beds. I know what your grow is like, and I definitely support the way you do things. But can you maybe explain to some people who are watching what you like or what your style is outdoors, how you prefer to grow, and maybe some of the reasons behind it?
Yes, I can tell you my style of growing is still developing as well, man. I'm still learning.
Lifelong.
I'm still not absolutely. I'm not only just learning about the plant, but I'm also learning so much more about soils too. I am a horticulture major right now. I'm in school for crop production. It's my specialty. And so along the same lines of crop production, I always talk about growing with nature. I think for some people, this is the way that it was intended to grow. For so many other people, there's so many different ways to grow this plant. We got autopots, we got deprivation, we have traded grows. We have so many different ways of growing this plant. But for me, in my environment, and for me being on my medicinal journey, I like to grow outdoors. But again, when we talk about growing outdoors, it's actually with growing in nature. Is what I like to call living soil and my growing time.
Growing with nature is great. Congratulations, man, on going to school and getting some further just education on this. That's some actually, it's funny because I have the pen of the school that I went to right now in my hand, the Skagit Valley College, to do my stuff. And, two of my favorite classes, you mentioned the crops. So row crops and then
Mhm.
greenhouse. Those were like two of my favorite classes throughout the entire. So, dude, the soil one was intense. The soil
Yes, it
sciences,
is.
it was like a
Mhm.
204, or it was a second year class, but I learned quickly that it's called soil and not dirt. Like I
Yes,
called it dirt 3 times, and then he finally corrected me. I was like, all right, I get
absolutely. Okay, great.
it's soil to the soil scientists.
Right.
But do you have, like a favorite class, or what are some of the things that you're doing as part of this?
Oh man, so in my what we're doing in school, what I'm basically learning right now, one of my classes that I'm kind of taking right now is plant science. And so with plant science, I get to find out all about the tissues of the plant, the organelles, the parenchyma, the collenchyma. There's so many different levels to what we call plant science,
Hmm.
not only just dissecting those plants, figuring out what a petiole is, what an auxiliary bud is. I'm paying attention in class, as you can definitely tell, but just
Heck yeah.
learning so much in soil science and plant science in general. But the one that I definitely paid more attention to was the soil science. And right now, when it comes to plant science, I basically took these two classes back to back, so I can, put it all together in my growth journey of what I'm doing right now with living soil.
Yeah. One of the larger things that I learned from that experience, aside, from like the practical knowledge that applies to the garden, was how to research, how to look for the right answers, and sometimes the right places. I learned through there that every state has an agricultural college, like dedicated. We have our two main ones, our University of Washington and then Washington State University. WSU, which was also a part of the program I did, they're the agricultural school, so they have a big department. Oregon, it's OSU, the Oregon State University,
Oregon
and
State
those are
University. Yeah.
tremendous resources for, if whatever state you're in, you can find out when you're growing outdoors, like what the local pest pressure is, or things that are potentially coming. You just can't. Well, it may have. No, it's still probably the same. I was like, back then we couldn't, mention, and this is only, gosh, like 7, 8 years ago, but I couldn't mention cannabis to them. But if I said tomato and winked, they were curious and more than happy to help try to like solve some issues. And yeah, a lot of it was based around the soil. So what is maybe one of the surprises or shocking things that you've learned about soil through this class, and maybe how it applies to your grow?
Just not just I've learned so many different things, but when it comes to soil, just learning about the horizontal soil system, uh, I knew that that would not only help me growing outdoors, but I knew that would also help me growing indoors too. So what I
Hmm.
wanted to do with this tent behind me is I wanted to basically bring not only outdoors, indoors a little bit, but some of those principles I want to concentrate on. I really want to just basically go back to the basics of growing. That was my thing coming back this year, or just starting back up again, because I took a little break just to figure out, what is it that I really wanted to do just to get my mental health good to go. And I figured out everything that not only that I wanted to do was basically when it comes to soil science. And I know that if I can produce some healthy soil, guess what? I can produce some healthy medicine as well. And so that's what I concentrate on. That's what's important for me to build soil. Um, I'm one of those people that I'm also a grower that I like to try products. If someone says, "Hey, look, this stuff is what's working for me," guess what? We're probably gonna try it. Okay. And not only are we gonna give you the best grow advice for it, we're also gonna tell you how it performs. Now,
Hmm.
Mr. Westport, my disclaimer for that is everything works in a different environment. As
Yes.
I've seen with everything with these plants that I'm growing, with different cultivars and different phenotypes of these plants that I'm growing, my area here is considered a Mediterranean climate. Uh, it's great for some plants, and for some plants, it's not so great. You know what I'm saying? And so, or if that makes sense. And so,
Absolutely. It's
yeah,
climate needs to match the plant's desires. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you there.
no, it's perfect. That's perfect. Perfect way of just summing it up for me. Yes. And so not only just plant needs to match the environment, you also have to think about your IPM, developing some kind of SOP, standard operating procedures for your garden. And so being outdoors, it allowed me to do that. And so again, for me, um, bringing this tent or having this tent and going indoors, I wanted to encapsulate a lot of what outdoor growing is indoors, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. One of the things that you just mentioned too there is IPM, the integrated pest management, which is basically how are you going to deal with bugs that pop in the garden, pathogens? Are you proactive? Are you reactive? Those are different approaches, which everybody has their own philosophy on. That is the one thing that scares me about going outdoors, though. Indoors, I love it because I control it. If there's a bug that finds its way into the garden, it's my fault. Outdoors, you almost have to assume that they're going to be there. So, what do you do? How do you approach that? Like, what's your SOPs there?
For me, Mr. Westport, it's all about timing and timing of year. So for me right now, what's happening in my gardens right now is the soil is just starting to come alive. Those beneficial microbes are just starting to wake up, but also my pests are starting to wake up. I know here in this environment, I do have a lot of caterpillar pressure, as well as some white flies. I have an hibiscus bush that I have, and I noticed that certain parts of the year that hibiscus bush is being absolutely devoured by white flies. So if I were to put a plant out a little bit earlier, I know for a fact that that plant will probably get taken over by bugs, and then I will have to start doing some IPM. But for me, it's better to be proactive and reactive in your garden. Being a living soil grower, we don't want to be behind the power curve when it comes to these pests that's in our garden. We want to make sure that we kind of front load some stuff before we actually go into our garden when it comes to IPM.
That's good. And that's approach, again, outdoors, I would just assume you have to be proactive because by the
Yes.
time it's there, you're behind the curve, as you said. Indoors, commercial facilities, they're more proactive, but I tend, knock on wood, to not have many problems there. So I tend to go the route of reactive, but I'm very strict with what they call cultural controls or cultural
Sure.
practices in the IPM pyramid. It's like it's the first level, and that's don't go out and mow your lawn or weed all your plants and then walk into your garden and start doing it. Just little things like that, but that's usually the number one culprit of how things get introduced to indoor gardens, pets, things of that nature. So have you, again, just going back and forth, I've done some bad pollinations that way. I swear it just like sticks to the hair or something. But have you ever had anything that you were seeing outside all of a sudden manifest itself inside in the tents?
And you know what? Thank you. That's a great question. I haven't yet as of yet.
Good
And
for
thank God
you.
I haven't.
Knock on
But
wood.
one thing that knock on wood, yeah, let me do that. Knock on wood. So one thing that I try to do with my indoor garden is the very first thing I'll do is get ready, get up in the morning, get dressed. I'll come and check my indoor tent first before I even think about going outside. That's one of my SOPs. That's like number one for me. because I don't want to go into my greenhouse and bring in any kind of pest or any kind of pathogen that may follow me from my greenhouse to my indoor grow. Now, another thing that can help with that too as well is growing those great genetics too as well. There's some genetics that
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
perform well when it comes to those pathogens. Leaf septoria is huge, kind of huge in my environment, or huge in my community. And so that's something that we don't want to have to deal with as of right now. And so absolutely, we what we try to do is be proactive in our garden and not so much reactive.
And some good comments here. I'll put some up, but Janet's playing good today. Says Christmas tree brings in bugs. Janet, I'm glad that you watched this channel for a while,
Shout
because
out to Janet.
2024 I brought some bugs into my garden from the Christmas tree, like that. Lesson learned, right? So thank you for being here and playing nice today. But I wanted to get this comment out too. It says, what most outdoor growers may do is, or may not do, is beneficial plants to attract the right insects to help fight off
Right.
bad insects, cut down on the problem. So there is something, and this is something that I learned more about through school, but there's banker plants, which can attract like beneficial ones, and then there's like trap plants, which maybe attract the bad ones to keep them away from the normal crops that you're trying to protect, right? Have you experimented at all with either, like banker
Absolutely.
plants or trap plants? Oh, please, then please tell us
We
about it. Because
do,
again, I'm an indoor guy.
we experiment with outdoor plants. We do a lot of companion planting. When I say companion planting, these are some of the things that we plant in our gardens, in our outdoor gardens. We plant some marigolds. Marigolds are good for beneficial insects. Not only are they good for beneficial insects, they're great for the soil too as well. All right. We also plant lemongrass. So when it comes to
Nice.
lemongrass also has one of those chemicals, one of those enzymes in it. If you ever break it, you can smell the lemon. Guess what? That is a that is part of a terpene profile for that lemongrass. There's certain animals or certain bugs in our garden that it actually that it deters. That it actually deters. Dill is one of those great things. Dill
Yeah.
brings in some of those parasitic wasps that we need to combat the caterpillars. I also do sunflowers. Sunflowers take out the heavy metals in our soils as well. I do plant some garlic, dill. We have a plethora of plants. Not only these plants are some of the plants that help out, but these are some of the vegetables. I told people a long time ago, I want to be known for a vegetable grower. You know what I'm saying? Because not only does growing those vegetables help me to be a better medicine grower, they're also helping my soil get ready for the season. So I can tell you right now in our garden, we have some of those very same thing. It is our vegetable garden right now. If you guys are following me on YouTube, you guys will see we have collard greens, we have pole beans for nitrogen, collard greens for our soil. Also, those collard greens allow us to be a trap plant for those caterpillars. And so we may cut those down, we may not. But also we know that those are beneficial because we don't want to have our soil just sitting there blank while it gets ready and while we're getting ready to grow outdoors.
You said a lot of awesome things there, man. You're getting me excited to go back to the school days, because absolutely, you mentioned, how vegetables and stuff can benefit the soil. You mentioned one way of just, adding some nutrients in there too, kind of conditioning the soil. Things like carrots or things with deep roots are great because they break up the soil compaction. They improve the soil texture. So, crop rotation is another big thing that we learned here. It's, you don't always want to plant the same thing in the same beds. You want to kind of rotate them through. Some things are, more mineral hungry, but they serve different purposes. So, dude, tons of gold nuggets you're dropping today, because I think a lot of us or a lot of growers who grow outdoors, it's not just strictly cannabis either. I mean, a lot of people, I grow veggies outdoors. Like I do a lot of outdoor growing, just not cannabis. But having kind of the mixed garden is a rad thing to see and to hear about. You mentioned lemongrass in there too, which for me, that has like therapeutic value, just the smell of it. Like that's something I just enjoy to grow. I didn't actually think about how it would be beneficial because of the limonene, as you said, terpenes in there. Look at like any insecticide or, like mosquito spray, and limonene's one of the top ingredients in there. So that's fantastic, man. What are your favorite veggies to grow though? What's your favorite companion plants?
You know what? Some of my favorites, because they're so easy to grow, is radishes. People don't think about the benefits of
Yeah.
radishes, right? I love Korean food, so I love to eat Korean food. So whatever I don't pull out of my garden, guess what? I can make kimchi radishes with my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And so radishes is one of
Nice.
those things that's super easy to not only germinate, but when they grow, they're also providing some aeration for your soil. Now, what I like to do with radishes is I like to plant a bunch in one area, and sometimes I'll actually just leave the radishes there to help out those beneficial microbes, those beneficial nematodes in my soil break down, or that plant food that I'm going to need for my plants.
Got a couple good questions coming in here too. This is something, and shout out Grumpy Toad. Always good to see you. Another friend of the show who has made growing possible for a lot of you guys with his donations. And this
Mhm.
is typically the number one thing, at least being on the West Coast, that I hear about. I don't know if everywhere across the US has this issue. But he
Mhm.
says outdoor growers in my area fought moss and worms bad last year. Most sprayed the buds. No bueno. Yeah, you don't ever want to spray the buds, particularly in the medical market or the medical, when you're using it that way. Um, but that's just almost a fact of life for almost all the growers here on the West Coast. Have you had the pressure? I know you did mention worms earlier, but is there
I
anything that
did.
you do to
You know what? Yeah,
proactively
man.
or reactive?
When it when it comes to these caterpillars in veg, what we do is we use a little bit of BT. Now we have to be careful with BT. It does when it comes to bees. All right. I understand the bee population is currently decimating within the United States and within the world. So when it comes to it, we have to be careful with it. But BT for me is one of those things that's sprayed that I use in beds, and that is the only time. A lot of my IPM that I do, or all of my IPM that I do, is done in veg. We don't do anything in flower. We have to allow those genetics and those cultivars to show themselves when it comes down to it. Um, there is some plants that just brings in bugs. You know what I'm saying? I had a couple plants that I grew three plants around it perfectly fine, but that one plant in the middle just decimated, you know what I'm saying, by bugs. And so we see a lot of cool stuff in our garden too, as well, when it comes to pests. But again, for IPM, we need to be so much more proactive than reactive. And I tell a lot of people, a lot of growers that actually follow me, knowing that environment too, and in your environment is super important. If you spend a little bit of time outside, nature will tell you everything that's there that's going to be able to help you out. That's also
Mhm.
going to be able to, it may harm you too as well. And so we have to be ready for not only those great bugs, we have to be ready for those bad ones as well.
And that's being observant, which is, one of the best skills anybody can have when it comes to growing, cannabis. Is so much of it is observation, and then learning from that. So you can be proactive next time. You're like, yeah, as you said, this month, this time of the year, we always seem to see whiteflies. So if I've got something out, let's not wait for them to show up.
Absolutely.
There was a great Yeah, a great comment here from Ractor Grow, who's also an excellent grower. He says radish is great. Beets also make awesome ferments. So I know you like similar or well, organic practices. Do you ever turn some of that into compost or ferments, just extra stuff from the garden?
We do here I'm literally trying to make a homestead within the city, if that makes sense. So we have a compost pile as well as we have chickens. We're looking at getting quail as well. We
Oh,
do enjoy fresh eggs out of my hen house. Uh, we do have a compost pile. We do try to be agriculturally sustainable as we possibly can. We not only try to just use those products that we know to help us out. Dr. Zymes is one of those products that I actually use in beds too that helps with bugs. Lost Coast Therapy is one of those two as well. But other than that, that's pretty much it. We like to grow with nature. We like to let nature take its course, and we like to let nature fix and also help us out as well.
it can definitely be a huge help. And a lot of times, with like organic gardening, again, kind of like going back to the ferments, it's all about closing loops and using waste products. You mentioned chicken. Chicken manure is a common ingredient, but you shouldn't use it right away because it's what they consider hot. Do you want to maybe explain a little bit of why that is or how you use it? I'm assuming you use it. I just heard chicken, so I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's using the chicken poop.
Absolutely. So what we want to do with our chicken manure, our chicken, this is something that we do normally in the beginning of a season, and that supplies for our season, the whole outdoor growing season. All right. When we talk about manure being hot, that means that it's super and nutritious, in I don't want to say nutritious value when we're talking about plants. But there's a lot of nutrients within that compost, right? Or within
Hmm.
that chicken manure. All right. So what we want to do is we want to put that somewhere to allow it to break down over time. So then we could actually use it into our garden. All right. Not only just the chicken manure, there's other types of manure that we've looked into. We've even looked at alpaca. Alpaca is one of those
Okay.
things you can just use it right there in the beginning, but this is just something that we use for our outdoor gardens. We don't bring anything indoors when it comes to it. We like to start off with a great base soil for outdoors. Um, and we also like to start off with a great base soil for indoors too as well.
And with the outdoor soil, I'm assuming that you kind of reuse it. I don't know if you leave it in the beds or if you move it, amend it. Which one do you do? Because that's my next question.
So this is our practice and our SOP when it comes down to it. What we use is compost, worm castings. We don't use any compost, and worm castings is our base for everything for our soil, for outdoors. All right. We also throw in some worm castings too, as well. We also have worms, we have anthropods, those little field bugs, those are part of our
Okay.
living soil. Those little white bugs, those little jumpers, I call them jumpers. I forgot the name of them.
Springtails. Yes, the
Spring.
springtails. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. So our springtails, we even bring in beneficial nematodes as well sometimes too. Those beneficial nematodes, we can purchase them. But we also need to make sure that when you're purchasing your beneficial nematodes, you also think about where you're purchasing them from as well, because that's important too as well.
Shout out to DP. He said, appreciate Chad not being a Chad. In Chad, I'm like, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. DP is another good dude. DP was one of the gentlemen who actually, I mean, he and I just kind of self motivated each other for the 22
Mm,
too many,
absolutely.
push ups that we were doing every day to honor, fallen, well, yep, to honor every soldier, but 22 suicides per day was the last
Absolutely.
statistic that we saw, and that is just freaking alarming. So anything that
Absolutely.
we can do to raise awareness. 22 Too Many is actually a group in Washington State. There's a lot of good resources out there. Oh gosh, I need to look at it again. I know it's not 811. I'm trying to think of the new suicide prevention number 977. I will look that up and find that because that's very important.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry to detract or to not detract,
That's
but
okay.
to derail from what we were on. But always an
Mhm.
important subject, always worth mentioning, always worth
Always.
spreading awareness. So
Thank you
I just
so
wanted
much
to
for
put that
doing
one
that.
up there. Yeah,
Thank you.
shout out
Perfect.
to
Thanks. Shout out to DP.
DP. Yep. And back on track a little bit. We're talking, kind of companion plants and things helping the soil. Well,
Oh,
I'll put
yeah.
that back up in a second.
Okay.
So you're using compost, you're using worm castings and stuff. And where I was kind of going with that, or the question that I had in my head of, whether you just kind of leave things as is or you take it all out, is your root balls. When you harvest in your beds, are you just kind of snipping it off at the soil level and then letting it stay in, or do you actually kind of go in and take out some of that root mass in your beds?
Actually, we actually leave our root mass within the soil.
Yep.
Within that root mass of soil, if you can think about breaking down over time, those nutrients that those roots were taking up, guess what? They deposit them right back into the soil after they break down. And so in a living soil, in a no-till, in a living soil, as like my system that I'm running here, it's very important that we leave those root balls in too as well, because we want to have a great mycelium network for those new plants that's growing that we're going to be putting in the ground too as well.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. And I absolutely agree. It's again, it kind of soaks it up and then it can decay back into it. You're not disturbing like the mycorrhizae, the rhizosphere that's around that, all the little microbes. It can kind of help pollinate. You're not pulling that stuff out. And Chunky had mentioned here suicide prevention number. It is actually 988, guys. So put that comment into the chat here real quick. 988. It's for everybody, not just veterans. But yeah, spread the awareness, guys. Share that number. Talk about it. Talk to a friend. Talk to a stranger. Sometimes that's the thing you need. And just sometimes hearing the words come out of your mouth helps. That's all you need, just an ear. So don't forget, guys, 988 is
Absolutely.
there. I will get back to some of the grow questions here. I'm going to star that one, go back to the list. And okay, so this is the one that I put up here just a second ago. It says, I've heard that German chamomile and basil are some of the best companion plants, especially for building terp profile, enhancing terps. Any input? I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. It's a good question. It's worth looking into. I mean, as far as just plants, basil itself, I can use that as an ingredient for many different things. So I'm open to growing that just to grow it. I don't know if you have any experience or have heard anything about these, but I'm a little caught off
You know
guard.
what,
I'm not sure.
Mr. Westport, that's a great question. Thank you for the question. I really do appreciate it. We really haven't seen a lot of it helping out the profile for our medicinal cannabis, but these are great plants. Some of the best plants because they're full of terpenes. You know what I'm saying? And so once these terpenes hit the soil, when it comes to our roots too as well, we can kind of make those syngonic with the plants. They may help us out or they may help out the plant, but at the same time, we need to make sure that that plant is not only helping, but needs to be somewhat beneficial to us as well to have.
Right. And I like that, again, that what that question raises and what you just said there too is, they are very terpy plants, right? And a lot of, experienced growers, a lot of organic growers, they say, doing it this way brings out like a better terpene profile. We've seen some of that backed up with lab results, A and B comparisons, but in like an organic versus synthetic or even synganic. So I wonder, if it really does do something in the soil. And you probably know this too, but a shocking thing I learned at the soil science classes, we only know about 5% or less of what's actually going on in the soil, guys. So we know
Absolutely.
like this much about it. So we can sound
Absolutely.
authoritative and have all these theories, but when you only understand 5% or less of something, you got some hunches is what you have, but
Do.
that hunch with organic growing and terpenes is there. So,
Absolutely.
well, it's always exciting when technology improves our understanding. Every year, technology improves. We're able to see closer and closer. Rest in peace to Dr. Elaine Ingham. She had
Absolutely.
passed away
Yeah.
this past week.
Yes.
A pioneer. Your favorite or your favorite organic grower, whoever that person is, will mention her as one of their
Absolutely.
influences. Uh,
Absolutely.
a huge inspiration, and she was on faculty at OSU, which I mentioned earlier.
Definitely.
But she discovered a lot, learned a lot, and as technology improved, we were able to build upon that work, and we were able to look in closer and understand things better. So who knows where it is going to be in even 5 or 10 years? We may find that magic ingredient or that magic microbe that brings out the terpenes. So we'll
Absolutely.
see.
Absolutely. But
Yep.
the key factor is making sure everybody is growing. When I say everybody is growing, there's laws that's coming out that's trying to prevent us from doing this. And for me, that's just not gonna fly. For me being a veteran, I can tell you it is my medicine for those other people that have gone down the medicinal route of what we're doing. Uh, Cannabis can not only just help out so many people, but just understanding what it can help and what it can't help too as well is part of the understanding of growing cannabis.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's so much again that this plant has taught me, and I think again, you've mentioned the meditative and just mental benefits, but I originally came to cannabis because of like physical problems.
Mm.
And the more that I learned about soil biome, I learned more about microbes. I started to learn more about my own gut biome. And you reach that funny point. It's like, why do I feed my soil better than myself? Because I understand the soil process. So it's led to some personal, growth and whatnot. I really dig that. Um, I want to put up another question here, and I saw actually big shout out to Louis Armstrong too. I wanna highlight this hat here real quick,
Sure.
guys, because this
Okay, cool.
is my favorite freaking hat ever.
Mm.
How freaking
No,
dope is that?
very
Like
nice hat.
seriously,
Very
guys.
nice
Like
hat.
I enjoy wearing this, and actually, Mr. Farmstrong, I am going to reach out to you because I wanna order a couple from you if that's possible. Like this is, how you get that favorite thing and like, or that your favorite shoes, your favorite hat, and you don't want to wear it because you're like, dude, I don't want that like thumbprint of dirt on there, or I don't want like the sweatband. I'm like, so this is my special hat, man. This hat doesn't go outdoors. It rains too much here. So I will definitely
Absolutely.
be hitting him up. And again, sorry to derail, but I saw him just jump
Oh,
into
that's
chat
perfect.
and
Perfect, man.
mention
Shout
that.
out to the
And
community too, man.
yeah,
Shout
big.
out to the
And
community.
it's such a cool community. Again, like this is, as the Hyde Father on Instagram, this is something that he just does. I didn't know that. And he says, hey, I'd like to do this. Do you have an image or do you have a black and white that I can use? And I sent it to him and he sent me this pictures, like these mock-ups. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. And he
Okay.
just made it happen. So we have an awesome community. We have a very supportive community, and we all like to share. And I mean, actually, on that note, let me me get into the bag of beans, guys. I'm going to give away a pair of beans here in a second because we need to get some people growing stuff. Let's I will put off these questions here for a moment because I've got my own question. Because we're going to be doing some genetics here, giving some away. What do you have coming up for this summer season?
Oh man, thank you for asking that question. That's a great question. Well, we've been starting to build up our soil in our greenhouse. We've been doing that for about the last month and a half. We are looking to start popping seeds at the end of this month, possibly beginning of March. Right now, when it comes down to it, I have 2 plants left in my indoor tent. And I think what I'm going to do, those plants will be finishing up. The no joke finished. I wanted to take it full term, but she was just looking ready to go about 60 days. Like she was so ready in my environment. So she grew ready to go. But yeah, we're just getting all of our stuff ready to go outdoors. But we're also purchasing another tent. All right. We're also going to be purchasing my AC Infinity tent coming up pretty soon. In that tent, I want to be able to start looking at breeding. We already know that we can grow in this environment too as well. So we're looking at a 5x5. If I would have known what I known in the beginning, so for those other veterans or for those other people and for those veterans that's looking at purchasing a tent, make sure you guys are doing the research, right? There's tons of companies, tons of people that's out here to take your money with stuff that does not work or that's not the standard that we like to say. And again, I spent 21 years in the military. It needs to be able to stand up to my 21 years in the military. You know what I'm saying? And so, so right now we're just getting our stuff ready to go outdoors. We already have all of our genetics. Thank you very much, Mr. Westport, for that. Not only do we have some great mean muffins, we're looking at not only growing some mean muffins, but we're going to put them in the AC Infinity tent. We're also going to be looking for some for the medicinal purposes of what I like to call, I don't want to call it purple weed, but our purples, our granddaddy purple. We're looking for that. So we're going on a hunt for that. But for us, we're always constantly doing that research. I tell people there is no perfect strain. For me and my disabilities, I know that I need something that's going to affect me neurologically. I also need something that's going to be able to put me to sleep. But I also need stuff that's going to be able to get me to going, you know what I'm saying? And so to get me to wake up in the morning too as well. And so right now, what we're doing is we're just preparing to get everything ready to go outdoors, while also being ready to grow indoors too as well in our tents.
And I want to get back to, just the timing of when you put things out and maybe how you harden things off there. But you mentioned, Granddaddy Purple. And, my wife, PTSD comes in many different forms, folks. But she has suffered that. She also sometimes has problems sleeping. And Granddaddy Purple, like the true Granddaddy Purple, is one that really helps her. So, as you said, there is no one size fits all perfect strain for everybody because our endocannabinoid systems are all very different. But that tends to be one that works for a lot of people who may have sleep issues or maybe experiences PTSD. So I always like to, point out the connections or point out the coincidences when they do pop up. Cause I know a lot of people, that's a question I get a lot of times, what strain can I take for this or what strain can I take for that? So GDP is good. I honestly don't have a good one right now or know where to find it. The Humboldt GDP. Yeah, the one that came up from that area. I don't know if Humboldt Seed Co. offers one or not. I don't know if that's what you're saying there, Clay. If they did, that would actually be worth checking out.
Okay.
But yeah, because so Humboldt Seed Company to me, they do great work. They've not tested like they should have the other year, but when it comes to actually like worked lines, reliable expressions, tremendous profiles, they hit the mark a lot of times. So
Okay. Okay.
that's something I typically recommend to people. I see
Okay.
Mark here is recommending the GDP S1 from CSI. CSI or Humboldt CSI
Perfect.
is another person who is kind of like a known and accepted archivist. He archives a
Okay.
lot of things and people do
Right. Okay.
send him the real cut. So a lot of times that's a great place to look. From the clone only GDP. Okay. Cause yeah, that again, that's another thing about some of these older strains is it was a clone only. So it's not like there ever were seeds we could go back to.
Yeah.
But
I
okay.
understand. Yes.
You
Yes.
mentioned that one. And we'll get back to the timing of when you put things out here. Real quick though, if you're in the US or Canada and you'd like to play for some beans today, we're going to be playing for the Wiggle Biscuits from Mr. Spliff of Cannabis. Right there, you can see Mr. Spliff of Cannabis. You can find him on YouTube. Northwest Preservations is his company, but Wiggle Biscuits, GMO cake crossed with the sour sage. So in the
Yeah,
past,
it
I've had
sounds
a
great.
sage. Yeah, I've had a sage and sour in the past, and for me, that was more of my daytime get up and go, get things done, as you kind of described. Whereas other times, there's something like the GDP or something where I want at nighttime to kind of relax, take the edge off, and fall asleep. There is that daytime, nighttime, man. That's the beautiful thing about cannabis. It's very diverse.
It is people that don't understand it, or the other veterans that don't understand it, because this is what
Mhm.
veterans do. All right.
Okay.
Soon as we get out of the military, we go straight to the dispensary. We spend all of this money and we don't understand what we're doing. We know that we just want to get high, we want to feel good. And
Right.
what ends up happening, Mr. Westport, it doesn't end up happening with that. You know what I'm saying? And then it leads to other
Right.
things too as well. And but again, there is no perfect strain. So when it comes down to it, I tell people the best medicine that you can grow is growing it yourself. And so
Yep.
that's where we're at in this journey of what we're doing right now. There's so many people out there or so many other veterans that can not only benefit from this plant, um, but we also need to realize that it's not a help and cure all. You know what I'm saying? We should be looking at the effects of it. You know what I'm saying? And we should continue to do research. And we very well should continue to not only just grow these plants, but grow them the best way that they possibly can be grown. And so at this point in this stage in my medicinal journey, there's been so many people to help me out in that. We've tried a lot of products. We've actually not only tried a lot of products, we've actually had some stuff sent to us to try out. For those, I appreciate it. But for us in this medicinal journey, it's very important that we also uh, pull other veterans and pull other people that can help us out, right? Um, I always shout out Mr. Toad and everything that he does for us, or everything that he did for us. We're also shouting out other shows that we're on that's actually helping us. But in the same time, in the same token, we also need to understand that there's people that's not so good for the community as well too. And so, yeah, but Mr. Westbrook.
Oh, please finish your thought. Sorry there.
No, no,
I
no.
get excited.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to just let that be clear because I go on a lot of shows and I see a lot of people that I don't know, the trolling and stuff like that. A lot of veterans don't take that stuff lightly. For me,
No.
it took me 21 years to figure out what I was protecting, but it's going to take me even longer to realize who I'm protecting, if that makes sense. Uh, yeah, and so we're on our medicinal journey. We're learning from a lot of different people. The Cheddar Bobs, the Corys, those people that's growing and doing so much for our plant or for this plant. Those are the people that we want to follow. Those are the people that I want to follow. Those are the people that I want to comment from or like or subscribe, you know. But if you don't like what you see on any of my channels, that's fine too. But guess what? We should all be growing this plant. We already know how to grow this plant. Uh, I'm still learning. I'm learning at a tremendous rate. But yeah, we're also on this journey to help out other people as well. So if I need to grow a plant for you and give it to you when it's done, that's what I'm going to do. If I need to pop seeds because you don't understand that a seed needs a couple different things to germinate, I'm going to help you out. And that's just the type of person, and that's the kind of people that we want to be within this community.
This is why I love you, man. I couldn't have said it better. This is why I love you. Man. We're on the same page, and you know, you're a man of action. You're out there not just preaching it, you're doing it. And you said so many important things in there. Like, it's hard for me just to even touch on the gold nuggets. Shout out to Cheddar Bob. Cheddar Bob is definitely in the building. He says, "Big up, baby dad."
Cool. Thank you, Cheddar. Cheddar told me something. I'm sorry, Mr. Westport. I gotta just tell you this. He told me something one time and it stuck with me, and he was just, leave it alone, leave the plant alone. And so that right there, it always stuck with me. And so that's what I always remember Cheddar about. And so but there's other Cheddars that's out there. There's a lot of people that may know more stuff about me than soil, but guess what? We should all be growing the plant. We should all never stop learning about the plant. And I thank God that I was able to not only just find this plant, but to also find this community that's accepting me. There is not a lot of people that look like me that's in this community, but I want to make sure that I'm also a great representation for everybody and those other veterans that's out there struggling as well.
And I sincerely appreciate that. You know, two things, you know, that you mentioned in there too is, you know, profiles. Like, it's not one size fit all, like you said. But the way that people shop when they, you know, you get out of service or you just decide to try cannabis for the first time, yeah, you go into the shop and you get a whole bunch of everything, and not everything's going to hit the mark. And to the uneducated, you know, cannabis is it's probably not even cannabis, it's probably just weed or marijuana, right? So you expect it all to be the same. And in my greenhouse final, because I spec'd out my dream greenhouse for growing cannabis, the opening part of the presentation was to get around, you know, that hurdle. It was legal in my state at the time. I did ask the teacher ahead of time. I'm like, I'm going to build my presentation off of this. Is that cool? They're like, yeah. But to preface it in the beginning, to overcome that, I said, everybody knows what a rose is, right? And, you know, we're aware that there's different colors of roses, but there's hundreds and thousands of different kinds of roses. So you can't just say a rose is a rose, and you can't just say weed is weed, because it goes that deep. Most people understand roses. But I always want to encourage people who are maybe new, who maybe go and, you know, I'll take a gram of this, a gram of that, a gram of that, a gram of that, which I've done myself. Pay more attention to the profile, the chemical profile, the chemovar, which is your cannabinoids and your terpenes and anything else that they measure in there, because that is usually going to be more of an accurate indicator of what works for your body than a strain name or shopping strictly out of the indica or strictly out of the sativa sections.
Right.
And that, you know, it all comes with education. So I'm glad you're out there spreading that information, because a lot of people, cannabis isn't for everybody. I agree to that. I happily will admit that. We do still need more testing, because I'm sure there's something we're missing that may be a negative. it's going to be minute compared to all the positive we discover, but I do want to be aware of any potential negatives as well. That only comes through studying it.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, like, yeah, we need to do more. We're on the road, but
We're
yeah,
on the road,
stay
and
educated
but
and
you know what?
educate people.
Absolutely, and this is something else that I'm learning. Some of the best growers and some of the best people, it's not at a facility, it's in somebody's backyard, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
some,
yeah,
somebody that's doing some in a basement or in a garage or in an attic or somebody, but it's definitely not within the commercial space. It's within this community that's watching right here. And I'm so happy and so blessed to definitely be a part of it. Again, we're just scratching the surface with living soil. I feel like there's so much other things to learn when it comes to our cultivation practices, being agriculturally sustainable, knowing where those products come from. One thing that helped me out in my research was not only just knowing what a product does, how it helps my garden, but actually what it does or where it comes from. Is it sustainable to get? That's the kind of stuff
yes.
that I'm definitely that I'm into, because with my 21 years of service, I've already put so many different chemicals and so many different things in my body.
Mm.
I just didn't want to be able putting opioids in my system any longer. I've had 5 back surgeries. Uh, Cannabis helps me out, and it's just one of those things that not only does it help me out, it does absolutely help my mind frame and my mind space as well.
Yeah, I agree. The benefits of cannabis go beyond the physical.
Hmm.
I would almost say it's probably more mental than physical with me, but they're probably right around equal because I find many benefits from it. And even the practice, even just growing CBD, which is considered hemp. I've got shout out to Hillbilly Herb. I've got actually I'm not going to
Dude,
show it.
shout
That's
out
why I
to
always
you.
get flagged. But I got a jar of cherry wine here. It's very, very low THC. It's high CBD, and it's something
Okay,
that over
okay.
this past few weeks I've been pretty much mixing into every bowl. So it's nice to have some of those minor
Super
cannabinoids
cool.
here. Let's real quick. I'm gonna give away this pack here. If you guys are in chat and you're in the US, just type BDG into the chat. What is that for? Baby Dad Grows. Shout
Good
out,
luck to
shout out.
everybody. I hope you guys win. Good luck to everybody that's in the chat. And thank you guys in the chat for all your questions. I really do appreciate it. I'm if I know the answer, I'm going to answer it. I'm always going to answer your questions. But if I don't know it, I can tell you where to find out. So
And
that's what I definitely live by.
that's the best kind of a resource. One that's not afraid to say, I don't know, but here is where I would look. That's all I ask for in life, and that's what I try to offer too. Don't blow smoke up my ass because I'm
100%.
trying to get it right.
Exactly, Mr. Westport. We're gonna tell you the truth, and that's another something else too. While we're sitting here waiting for this, I show the goods, the bads, and the uglies in all of my gardens. Whether that be vegetables, whether that be my cannabis or my medicinal cannabis, I show everything. So not only does it help me, but it also gives me a timestamp to know
Mhm.
the type of year when I planted the seed, what was the pest pressure like, what was the environment like, what was the sun like, what angle of the sun was at this portion of day, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the type of stuff that I'm into right now. Uh, and so that's the type of stuff that we're getting into. We'll be getting a little bit more of a understanding to grow the best medicinal cannabis we possibly can.
Absolutely. And I tend to learn the hard way sometimes, most of the time. But Dank, Andy Belgium says mistakes make you learn the most.
They do,
Absolutely,
they
man. There's
really
some
do. They
things,
really.
yeah, you learn the lesson the hard way, but you're not as likely to repeat it. So that's, just one of those things. I like the fact that you brought up as the digital journal, because I always encourage people to journal. Again, you could look back on it historically at the dates, like you said. Oh, I should have fed, on this week instead of that week. Maybe I'll feed this week this time. But having the video journal of it, even if it never gets posted to YouTube, even if it's only a file that sits on your computer, that's a great idea, man. Great suggestion there.
Yes. I tell other veterans too. I try to give out as much great advice as I possibly can. But again, I can just tell you what works well in my environment and what works for my plants in my environment. I can't tell you what they grow like back in South Carolina or Washington or other parts, but I can tell you what they grow like in my environment.
Yep. And that's, again, I always say too, the words "it depends" should be somewhere in any expert's answer when it comes to growing, because it really depends, man. Florida is different than Colorado. That's different than Southern California. That's different than Washington, West Coast, where I'm at. So yeah, it depends should always be in there. We'll do a couple more questions before we do the giveaway here. I do have some good ones from chat. I actually have some of my own written down here.
Okay.
But let's see here. It's a question from Montana Winds. It says, how effective is insect frass on outside plants? Does the plant utilize it better through foliar or drench, or both? Or just directly mixed into the soil once at the beginning of the season? For me personally, the way that I have used it in the past is I prefer to mix it in with the soil prior to planting if I can, but I have also done it as a drench. Insect frass, it has a little bit of nitrogen, it has a little bit of the minerals that we need in there, but it can also trigger sort of a natural defense or a natural priming of the plant to think it's maybe under attack, which again beefs up its defenses and grows better. Have you played with insect frass? Is this an ingredient you've ever used in your garden?
Absolutely. We've used insect frass in our garden, not only as protection or as for IPM. We put in the soil as well. We never really used it as a foliar for me. But also when it comes down to it, our insect frass has a little bit of chitin to it as well. That helps us with our IPM process. So for me, using insect frass, there's other things that's a little bit better than using insect frass, if that makes sense. But using it in the soil for me is more beneficial in my environment, and that's how I use it in the soil.
Awesome. Going back to our companion planting and trap planting, bank planting, Chunky. Again, shout out to Chunky for being the raddest mod in the world. He says, when you say plant, do you mean you plant marigolds, etc., in the same pot, or just close
together
by? Okay, and that's in your outdoor beds or indoor as well?
That's in my outdoor beds. No, for my indoor, I don't do any kind of companion planting. For me, right now, I don't do any kind of companion planting. But for outdoors, we put down a cover crop for us. But those companion plants should be within that same root ball. Those roots should be somewhere touching. That's what I think personally. Those roots should be somewhere touching in order for it to help out and be systematic within that plant.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. And that was a shout out to my buddy Jason, State 3 Farms in Oregon. He's, I think, maybe the smallest producer. Big ups to Dave. Dave is up in here.
Okay,
it cool. Says Chad is my hero. Yeah, well, I learned it from watching you, Dave. But shouting out Jason at State 3 Farms. He may be the smallest licensed grower in the state of Oregon, but it's a small family run operation. He does a lot of the things that I think the way they should be done, which you can almost
Okay.
only get away with as a small grower.
Right.
But he does a lot of things organically, and he makes a lot of his own ingredients. And that's where I picked up my big bag of insect frass from him, because he does things on scale, so he has so much of things. It's like, why don't I just put some of this in a bag for people? I'm like, yeah, why don't you? So
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah,
he's got some awesome insect frass going on.
absolutely.
And let's see here. Okay, I don't see any more questions there. Back to we were talking about earlier, real quick here. Like I said, a couple more questions. Sorry, I'm keeping you so long here. Usually, it's
No,
an
that's
hour.
fine. No. We can go as long as we possibly can. Yeah. We can go as long as we
Appreciate
possibly can. It's up to you.
appreciate your time today. Definitely. What and speaking of timing, that actually loops right back. And guys, we'll do the drawing here momentarily. But earlier we were talking about outdoor planting. You said you may be starting seeds here soon, and that was my question: is timing. When do you like to put your plants outside? Is there a certain process you use to harden them off? Because I'm assuming when you said I'm starting my seeds, I'm assuming that you're starting them indoors. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, so what
Yes.
is your
What we
process and
do.
timing to get them outside?
Okay. So my process and timing to get my plants outdoors, we still go through the seedling process, the vegetative process. We do all of that stuff. When those plants are small, and when I say small, between 4 to 6 nodes, those plants are already getting topped, right? That's one of the first things that happens. They get topped. One of the next things that happens is I need to see how that plant responds to me picking off leaves. I want to see how it responds. Does it slow down the growth? Does it speed up the growth? I've seen both happen. But we get our plants to a certain point to where we have to basically harden them off. That period lasts probably up to a week and a half to 2 weeks, to where I'm taking the plant outside and I'll basically give it the most sun as it possibly can. I don't normally put it in my greenhouse during that time because I want that plant to acclimate to being outdoors. But once it goes outdoors, that plant does not come back indoors at all. That plant is acclimating, getting ready, and hardening off to be grown inside of my greenhouse. Now, when it comes to the timing, I'm one of those old school growers too, as well. I look at the Farmer's Almanac
Nice.
for some of my planting, but a lot of people will say that the Farmer's Almanac doesn't have cannabis in it. Well, we need to start doing our research and know and kind of figure out where these plants came from, how they got to the United States, how did they get to other countries, how were they cultivated in other places too, because that stuff matters. Where these plants come from, being grown in an environment. I like to tell people as well, these plants will adjust to their environment, but outdoors, that's one of the hardest things to do as well. So outdoors is not only just a challenge, it provides a challenge um, for me, but I know for a fact that that soil is going to be the best soil that it possibly can be by the time those plants hit that soil into that greenhouse.
Are there any signs when you're trying to, harden them off? And what we mean by harden off, again, is putting them outside, giving them exposure to the sunlight, which can be intense for young seedlings. Is there any particular sign that maybe you're pushing it a little bit too hard? Or is there something as a grower you've noticed where you're like, hey, mental note?
Absolutely. I mean, just realizing and understanding what DLI is and how much light a plant can get. That also helps me out when I take my plants outdoors. Those plants, they don't sit outdoors all day long. There's a process to where probably an hour, 2 hours, they stay in the sun, and then I'll put them in shade just for a little bit. But then during the course of the day, as the sun continues to track across space and across time, I'm actually adding that plant back to actually get some more of those to some more sunlight that it actually needs.
And that's, it's like the Farmer's Almanac is a great reference. And you mentioned sunlight hours, and that's something that, when we're putting plants, we need to be aware of is just what are the daylight hours at that time of the year? Because
Absolutely.
it's every year that I get pictures and questions from people who maybe put the plants out a little too early where the light cycle was still close enough to 1212 that it went into flower a little bit, but as the day extended, it went back into, re-veg, as we say. And they're like, why is my plant have these 3-bladed leaves all over the place? It looks like it's budding. I'm like, you were a few weeks too early putting them out. But that is something, like the Farmer's Almanac or even online, you will be able to find what your daylight hours are. And you mentioned DLI, which I'm like, you got it, brother. You're going to school. Because that's the ultimate factor right there. DLI, daily light integral, how much it absorbs in a 24-hour period. So excellent answer, my man. Excellent answer there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, no, dude, it's just cool to see the journey and to hear that you are, going even further with your education, because you've always been one to soak up the knowledge, and you have done well with it. Like it clicks, man. It clicks with you, it seems. I don't know if you give yourself that much credit, but I'm gonna sit here and give you that much credit because it's a fun freaking journne, dude. Fun freaking journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It has been, and I applaud all those people that's gone before me to grow this plant. We talked a lot about Dr. Lane Ingham and everything she done for this community. There's so many other people. I follow so many other people that have a great journey, a great story besides my own. And those are the people that I'm still constantly learning from. I always learn from Dr. Lane Ingham, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What she did for the community, we all will learn for future generations, and things happen and these pioneers come and they go. And so those are the people that I'm trying to learn from, the pioneers of this living soil, the Tads at KIS Organics, the Builder Soil. We may not all agree on certain things, but we're all growing a plant that every single person has enjoyed and is getting the benefits. And so, again, those are the people that I want to follow and that I want to learn from, as well as yourself. And that's what we're doing as of right now.
Good on you, man. Keep it going. Inspirational. Because there's so many great people, as you said, that are out there, man. And then some of them we know about. Other people are just random people that we find online that we're like, hey, I drive with what you're doing. We're on the same page. It doesn't take, always the famous people, because as you said, there's so many great people in this community. What for new people that are coming into the growing, though, I want to ask maybe what your advice would be for a new grower, whether it's a technique or a product or even just a philosophy. What is a piece of advice you would give to somebody who maybe is going to grow outdoors for their first time this summer?
All right, great question. So what I would tell that person to do is start your research early. Not only just start your research early. Again, I talked a little bit about a lot of companies out there that's willing to. Every company is willing to take your money when it comes to this cannabis industry. Okay, so you have to do some research, but you also need to understand that your environment will play a factor in what your plants express, whether that be terpenes, cannabinoids. Your environment is going to play a huge part in that. So start to grow and learn the basics of growing. What's in soil? What makes up soil? What is your horizontal soil zones? what organic matter breaks down faster, what is trace minerals, what effect does phosphates or magnesium have on your plants. Just some of the things. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know and learn the basics of growing, right? Um, Another thing that I would tell them is to look at earth boxes, right?
Nice.
Earth boxes for me was almost like growing with auto pots, you know. So many people don't understand the effects of how much watering has. And so when we indoor, I didn't want to have to, I wanted to kind of take the guesswork out of that, you know. So that's why I went with earth boxes. Earth boxes are, I want to say, almost, they're not the beginning stages of what living soil is, but with the amount of soil that it has, you can be in a living soil earth box and be growing and getting the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Or having those same effects of what living soil is, growing with the benefits of what living soil is. Now, there are other things too that help you out when it comes to pot sizes. But those sizes are important because if you're in living soil, we want to make sure that that living soil is not only living, it's thriving. All right, that's something that also matters too. So that's why we put a cover crop to get our fungal, our microbiology, and everything we need for that plant to grow. Because if that plant can't grow a cover crop, it can't grow my medicinal cannabis. That's my thoughts of growing, right? So go back to the basics of growing. If we were to drive in a field and see a tree, and just a tree in that field is growing super big, lush, but nothing else is around that tree, obviously something has uh has acclimated to that environment, right? And it's almost the same thing as cannabis. When a seed falls, how far does that seed fall from the tree? You know what I'm saying? And so growing with nature is the way that I personally learn or am learning. And so for me, that makes it a little bit easier, if that makes sense.
The most, one of the first things we're taught is KISS, keep it simple, right?
Yeah,
Keep it simple.
absolutely.
Oh, and I saw one question come in here too, as well as what size of earth containers or earth boxes would be good. There's multiple different sizes. Clay was asking. It says it's 50-gallon earth box. Sure, you can make a 50-gallon earth box. That's a lot of soil, big battery, as BabyDad Grows was just kind of saying there. Bigger the soil mass, the bigger the potential battery. But do you have a preference for size, or do you know what size your bed is that you're currently growing in?
Yeah, I have a 4x4, I have a 3x3 grassroots living soil bed. I also have a 4x4 grassroots living style bed. And I also have I forgot the size of my rectangle, my huge bed of soil that I have right now, but that's just stuff that's in my greenhouse. Um, but indoors, when we get our other AC Infinity tent, what we're gonna be doing there is we're gonna have earth boxes, and we're also gonna have probably a 3x3 soil bed within that tent as well.
Nice. Use the discount code Westport, man. Save yourself some money.
Absolutely.
Save yourself
Hey,
some money.
listen, we are always trying to save money. We are a disabled veteran. We don't have the most amount of money. So a lot of the resources that we do have, I try to actually put that back into my grows, to not only just support myself, but to help support my family. And so, yeah, man, like I said, there's tons of companies with products that don't work. And so what we do, our growing style, is we like to showcase some products that actually worked in our environment. Uh, if you guys have not heard about the KIS Organics Living Soil, That's one of the soils that we tried. We go back and watch some videos. We have some plants that took it and they looked amazing. All right. So shout out to KIS Organics for that living soil. But yes, we try to support this small, the very small, non-incorporated, the country roots,
Mhm.
the small East Coast Organics. That's a great company too. Ready to Wiggle, earthworm casting. We
I
support
like
them.
that. I like their name.
Yeah, great company. They sent us some earthworm castings, and so we actually use them in our garden. Everything is great. Build the soil. You guys can start there. They have a not only just a planner, but an SOP for everything when it comes to living soil. I personally will be going with probably 15 to 20 gallon pots to start off with. That's what I personally would start off with. But just keep in mind, a great living soil is considered a living soil because of the things that's in that soil. So we also need to think about that too as well.
Great point. I want to put you over here for a second so I can put this up. We're going to do that. Where can people find you again? Please let people know about your channels, where they can reach out to you.
Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Westport. You guys can find me on Instagram. I go by BabyDaddy Grows or BabyDad_Grows on Instagram. We are not only trying to provide a message, we're also trying to help out those other veterans too, as well, that's in their medicinal journey. So BabyDad Grows, BabyDad_Grows on Instagram. And then here on YouTube, BabyDad_Grows as well. You guys can find me on YouTube. We're updating all of our videos. If you just started following me, we have grows that happened so long ago that we're just now starting to get ready to post. So if you guys have any questions at all about these grows, how I grew them, what did I use for fertilizer, what did I use for food, just let me know. You guys can send me a message. Try to keep the spam down, but we're also going to be on a couple different shows. Ogo Grows, we're going to be on that show. We're going to be on Growing Old show. We're going to be on within the community on FCP. We're going to start getting back into FCP. That is where we started. Shout out to Peter. We're also on the Real Grow show sometimes, and his show is on every single day. But for me, my channel will be about spreading a message, not only just of growing cannabis, but growing food to help support you, your family, your community. That's what's so important, right? Because we see what's happening with food right now. Food within the grocery stores, soon as we buy it from that grocery store, it loses about 75% of its nutritional value. So we have to not only think about what we're putting into our bodies, we have to think about how we're putting that stuff into our bodies too as well. And so that's why we grow in living soil. I can't speak to everyone else that grow from or those synganics or kind of teetering back and forth. Living soil for us is what we want to do. That's what we want to be known for, but we also want to be known for helping out our community. So if I'm on your show, I really do appreciate it. You guys can just let me know. I would love to be a guest on your show. I'll provide the best insight that I possibly can. But I also provide insight that's tailored to my veteran community because that's the community that we want to focus on. I do love being on shows. I love showing my plants because I'm one of those people. You have to show me to understand what it is to that I have to do. You know what I'm saying? And so once I started showing my grows, it not only helped me, but it also helped other veterans and other people too as well.
I'm a very visual learner, so show me once, I'll get it. Read the book 3 or 4 times, and I know enough to be like, I got to go look at that book. But yeah, a very visual person. Shout
Absolutely.
out Mr. Ganix. I see Mr. Ganix in chat. Garden Cultivation Networks got a great
Shout out
channel
to him.
over there. If you guys haven't hooked up yet, hopefully you will in the future. Both, again, he's an awesome guy. Co-host Bunny. She's an amazing woman. It's awesome. If you haven't seen the show yourself, check out what they do over at the Garden Cultivation Network. Thank you for letting people know where they can find you and putting that out there. We had one more question that came in, and I thought this was a great question. Bruce Leroy, I kept wanting to say Bruce Leroy Green. Thank you. What's a good way to cycle earth boxes? How soon can you plant after harvest? Please and thank you. And we did kind of cover part of that earlier. You tend to just chop at the soil level and you leave the root ball in. Is there anything else you're doing when you cycle the earth box from one run to the next? And do you have to wait a certain amount of time after that?
That's a great question. Thank you for the question, Bruce Leroy Green. That's something that I'm just going to find out in my garden now that the no joke is out of. But what I personally am going to do, or what I've already done, is I've already re-amended that soil with compost, earthworms, earthworm castings, and I've also re-amended my soil with craft blend, or my dry amendments. And the reason why I do that, not only does it help restart my soil, but it actually helps to get the microbiology back up within that biome of soil. I also like to make compost teas. If you guys are following me on YouTube, I make a ton of compost teas. I know what the science says. In my environment, I've seen some great things happen with plants from my compost tea. But it also does help out my soil, which in turn feeds the soil, which in turn feeds the plant. And I know that I'm getting the best medicinal cannabis grow that I absolutely possibly can. People should be kind of feeding the microbiology in the soil, but also knowing when is a good time to do it too as well. And when after the grow is when I do a lot of work because I need to rebuild that soil up. So thank you so much for your question. That was a great question. Hopefully I answered it.
A lot of great information today sharing, and I'm going to be asking to see your report card later each quarter. I want to make sure you're getting straight A's, mister. You darn well should be.
Absolutely.
Get on the
Thank you so
dude.
much.
I got kicked out of like a number of high schools. I was not a good student. Again, like I said, that going back to school to do the sustainable ag stuff actually taught me how to research, where to look, how to like learn properly. But it's funny, I made the dean list every freaking quarter. I had more points in that program than were actually offered. I did every extra credit, I did everything, which is a complete 180 from the high school me. So I want to see that report card, mister.
Absolutely, this is the worst part. Absolutely. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Yes, absolutely.
My pleasure. All right, let's give away these beans here one more time. This is for the
Perfect.
US US only. Wiggle biscuits from Mr. Spliff of Cannabis. He has hooked us up with a whole bunch of awesome stuff that we've been giving away here for months. It's cool to actually see some people in chat who are already growing some of these things. So always fun to see that happen. This is a GMO wedding cake crust with sour sage. Again, Mr. Spliff of Cannabis is where these came from. So he's got all the information for your questions. BDG, let's go. Good luck to the winner. If you are indeed the winner, please just go ahead and hit me up. Best way is email. If you go to chadwestport.com, which is my website, click the info tab, scroll to the bottom. There's the email there. I also have my Instagram listed down below. For those of you who want to connect with Baby Daddy Grows, his Instagram and his YouTube is down below in the show notes. So it's as easy as just scrolling down, clicking, boom, you're connected with the man. All right, let's give this away. Good luck, everybody. 277
Look, everybody,
in
for sure.
the drawing. Who's it going to be? I forgot to enter this up. That is, man. We've got 380 watching us right now. 380 watching us.
I really wish I would have put myself in the drawing. Dog pounds, 2.6. Good job. Congratulations, man.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Dog Pound. I will write you down here for the Wiggle Biscuits. I believe you know how to get a hold of me there. So congratulations, Dog Pounds. And congratulations to everybody freaking watching today. You guys have been awesome in chat. You guys have been hanging out, preaching the information, helping each other. Good times, good people. I appreciate you guys choosing to be here. And again, Baby Daddy Grows, dude, thank you so much for being you, for being a light, for spreading the knowledge, and for giving me your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We love being on your show. It's one of those things that I have a couple different hit lists that I'm working myself up to. But for me, I want to be able to provide a great informational source for everything that I'm speaking of. For everybody that's in the chat, I really do appreciate you guys. All your comments, questions, concerns. I really do. All your tips too as well. I love growing. This is just something that at this stage of my life, I love growing, but I love what it does to help other people and help myself as well. So thank you for doing that for me, Mr. Westport. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Always awesome to see it passing on. So, dude, keep doing what you're doing. Everybody in chat, keep on rocking. Have a great day and party on, as they say, right? Party on, guys.
1, 2, Westport.